This helps me. So I thought today would be a wonderful day, since it is the new moon in Virgo, to talk about altars, because every month we do the new moon and the full moon call, and during that time we talk about building altars, or I say put something at your altar. And I don't know that we've necessarily gone through the basics of what altars are and how to build them. So prior to the call tomorrow, we're just going to go over that. So as with many things these days, in the past they've been much more complicated and had a lot of rules. And what's happening now as we move into New Earth energy is the old ways of doing things are kind of falling away. And that idea of this is the correct and only proper way to do things is definitely disintegrating. So as we talk about altars, the most important thing that I want you to remember as we're talking about all of these things is that everything I'm going to tell you is an idea and a guideline. And when you are building your own altar, it is most important to go with your own feeling and intuition and let that guide you. We are all coming online right now. It's like somebody flipped a switch, and all of these rememberings are coming to us. So if you are getting ideas of little rituals and things to do, don't ignore them. Don't do that thing where you Google to see if it's a real thing, and then if it's not real. You are receiving straight from source and straight from higher self guidance. And so you definitely don't want to ignore those things. So just keep that in mind with any type of guidance coming through at this time, and with any how-to type of stuff. It's always most important to go with your gut feeling. But altars are one of my favorite things, okay? Because I love to collect pretty objects. And when I realized that collecting pretty objects could have a purpose besides just creating clutter in your house, I love that very much. So with a new moon and a full moon, I like to create an altar that is dedicated to whatever it is I'm seeding and manifesting, okay? So for the new moon, we're seeding our intentions. And that is a wonderful time to create an altar. And an altar is basically a concentrated space where you focus your energy into and pull the magics and energy of your seeding manifestation into one physical place. This allows you in your human physical body form to then every single day send extra loving energy towards all of your intentions, and to really have that connection between seeing and touching and smelling and just kind of having that whole sensory experience that makes it very real for you. So for example, with our new moon, we always take a little bit of dirt or a small plant of some sort that we tuck our seeds into and have them grow. I love to take my new moon dirt with my seeds in them and place them in the center of what I will be using as my altar. And then I put any crystals around it that I feel guided to put there. Maybe some feathers, maybe an item that represents something that is connected to what I'm seeding, right? What I want manifesting. And I put it there, and I put my hands above it, and I just push that intention in there, and I push all of my energy into it so that it can light up. And then as I move through my days after that new moon ceremony and ritual, every time I pass by it, I just take a moment and I go, remember this. And it just allows you to keep in constant contact with the magic that you're manifesting, which gives it that much more power. People often ask me, do I need to have like a very specific type of altar? Does it need to be in a specific place? You know, yada, yada, yada. No, it can. It absolutely can. But not all of us have places in our house where we can have just like dedicated space to an altar. So make it work where you can. Windowsills are wonderful. Nightstands next to your bed, also wonderful. A little space in your kitchen, wonderful. Maybe in your garden, I don't know. But basically, you just want to find a small area that nobody's gonna mess with, because you don't want kids pulling your objects off or like somebody clearing it or anything like that. So ideally, it would be in a more quiet and less trafficked space, but at the same time, the way that I work with my altars, I need to see them every day. So they have to be somewhere that I frequently traffic through, so that I'm keeping in contact with that energy. You can create an altar for anything. One of my favorite altar things that we do in intuition mentorship is we create something called a joy altar, okay? So this has nothing to do with the moon cycles or anything like that or manifesting, but this is an altar where you put little things that bring you joy and your wins. So for example, let's say you have a day, and in that day, you speak your truth in a way that you never have before. That goes on your joy altar, because that's a huge win. So it might be a little piece of paper that says like, this is what I did, and you put it on the altar with a crystal, or maybe you paint something, or whatever it is, whatever item you want to put on there to represent that piece of joy or that win. If you went out for coffee with a friend and you had such a wonderful time and had a beautiful connection, as you're walking outside of the coffee shop, you pick up an acorn. That goes on your altar to remind you of that really awesome time and connection you had with your friend. So you just start collecting these small things that remind you of beautiful, joyful moments and wins in your life. And as you pass by them during your day and you see them, you can see how many items of joy you have going, and that creates a momentum for you. It almost makes you get into this mode of seeking more joy, which is never a bad thing. So if you're new to altar building and you're not sure if you're ready to start doing lunar manifestation altars or anything like that, a joy altar is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful idea. And I may make a post on that so you can kind of like read through it, but it's really simple. And when you're doing your joy altar, I would also say that anything you feel isn't big enough to be on the altar must go on the altar, because we always do that to ourselves. We're like, this wasn't that big of a deal. Like, who cares? And it's like, we care. So put it on your freaking altar. So that's joy altars. Now, talking about the elements when building an altar is also really wonderful as well. So when I'm building an altar, for example, for the fairy ring, the fairies are so connected to the elements. So I always make sure that I have a fire element, a water element, an earth element, and an air element on the altar. That sometimes that looks like a small bowl of water. It looks like a candle. It looks like a feather. And it looks like some salt sometimes, or a little bit of earth, or a little bit of moss, or whatever it is that's going to represent the earth element. That balances the altar for whatever magic I'm doing with the fairies. And then in the center, I'll put offerings for them. They love sweet and sparkly things, so a little bit of honey perhaps, some flowers, some pretty crystals, and that is a way of showing respect and opening up connection between myself and the fairy realms. So think of it like that as well. You're opening up a connection between yourself and other realms. So you want items there that will connect you to those different energies. You can create altars to advance your goals, to give you support in an area that you need support. Let's say you're having trouble, let's pick one that I do. You're having trouble sleeping. Let's say you're having trouble sleeping. You can create an altar next to your bedside table with stones that are very calming and soothing, with perhaps some affirmations of wonderful sleep. You can put some incense that makes you feel nice and calm on there, perhaps one of your oracle cards that has come up for a message for you, just soothing things on your altar, and set the intention for that altar to bring you peace and sleep. Does that make sense? So after you build an altar, you don't have to do this, but I feel like it's really important to take a moment and literally put your hands above it and close your eyes and really feel the energy of the altar you've created, and ask yourself, does it feel aligned with the energy that you want to connect with this altar? And if it doesn't feel aligned, take a look at it again and figure out what needs to move, what needs to be removed, what needs to be in, to balance it and put it in that frequency that you're looking to connect with. Trust yourself to do this. Trust yourself to be able to take your hands and put them over the altar and to feel the energy, because all of you are able to do this. It is only your brain that will tell you that you are not. So hands over the altar, close your eyes and just feel it. If it feels good, we're good. For tomorrow's new moon in Virgo, you may want to start thinking about your altar now. You may want to start thinking about what items are around you or outside that represent the new way that you're going to be doing things after this point. Because this new moon in Virgo is a turning point. It's where all of the old ways of doing things that no longer work for you can be cast aside, and we can start with new systems. So at a micro level, like in our day-to-day lives, that means what things do you do on a daily basis that do not contribute to your alignment, that are not in alignment, that are not congruent between your thoughts, your words, and your heart. All we're doing right now is getting ourselves in alignment. When the thoughts we have, the words we speak, and the feelings in our heart are aligned, there is nowhere to go but up. So we're working on that. And with this new moon, we're seating our manifestation, or seating our intentions to align with the energy that is most truly us. And that means the different systems we have in place, the routines, the rituals, even like the thought processes. Some of those things are going to need to change. And what does that look like for you? So think about that today and just kind of look around and like, what items ping me for that? What things resonate with that? Don't overthink it, but it's good to start looking now. And if you're going to be joining us on the new moon call tomorrow, you can collect your dirt if you don't have it already. I like to use a small, shallow dish. I wish I could grab it for you, but it's not within vision for me. Small, shallow dish like this with some dirt in it, just big enough that you can fold up a piece of paper and tuck it in. Or I have a lot of members that use houseplants, and that's actually really fun too. I actually have a couple of them who took a pot, put dirt and seeds, and have been continually seeding their manifestations in that one pot and watching the plant grow. And I wish I had been the genius to think of that, but I was not. But it's really, really cool to watch that. So that's what I have to say about the altars. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them on this post, or later when I post the YouTube, you can pop it there, or you can get into the Facebook group and send me a message. If you are a member of the Restoration Facebook group, you can join the new moon call at no charge tomorrow. You just have to sign up, and you'll find the link inside of the Facebook group. All right? I love you guys. I hope you have an awesome Thursday, and I will be back tomorrow with the weekend energy update and the new moon energy update. Mwah.